Welcome to Think 3 Eye Anatomy. Today we are looking at anterior chamber angle. Anterior chamber angle. Anterior chamber angle. This angle is very important when it comes to the diagnosis of glaucoma. Gonioscopy is one of the means by which we are able to classify glaucoma, either it's open or close angle closure. And so it's a very important structure that we must be familiar with. And to make it very simple and always remember, think 3. What are we thinking 3 first? We want to look at the trabecular meshwork at the center, the very center. Very center. So our focus should first go to the trabecular meshwork, because that is where almost 75 to 80% of the outflow of the aqueous humor takes place. And so any obstruction to that means a lot to us as ophthalmologists or eye care workers. So the trabecular meshwork is the focus and can be divided into non-pigmented and pigmented. That is, the non-pigmented is anterior to the pigmented, which is posterior to that. And so this is the trabecular meshwork, very important structure. From there you have the outflow, the aqueous passes through. The other 25% goes through the uveo-scleral pathway. And so our focus is trabecular meshwork. So when you have the trabecular meshwork as your focus, immediately it's sandwiched by two structures. So you think about the central three. Central three. Think about central three. The central three, we have trabecular meshwork in the center. Then it's sandwiched by two structures. There's a line and a spur. Just remember that the trabecular meshwork is sandwiched between a line and a spur. So we have the trabecular meshwork at the center, and we have two structures trying to sandwich. So the thing 3 brings us to another model called the sandwich model. So from thing 3, move to sandwich model. So we have the trabecular meshwork in the center. Then we have a line. The line is thickening that at the end. There's a thickening at the end of the cornea. So the cornea is quite at the end of the cornea side. So the Schwab, there's a line here, but I'm not mentioning the name. That's the Schwab's line. This is a Schwab's line. Then we have the scleral spur. So think about a line. So the trabecular meshwork is sandwiched between a line and a spur. Then you now come to think about what line is that, the Schwab's line, and then what spur is that, scleral spur. So remember, think 3. The central 3 structures we want to look at is the trabecular meshwork in the middle, and on the cornea side we have Schwab's line, and on the scleral side we have the scleral spur. Now after you have talked about the central 3, you still have another sandwich. This central 3 again is sandwiched. Central 3 is taken as one, and then you have this cornea and you have the uvea here. So the cornea is already there, but the uvea is two parts of the uvea that appears in the anterior chamber angle. There are 3 parts. Again, think 3. There are 3 parts of the uvea. We have, from the front to the back, we have the iris, ciliary body, and it's a band here, sorry, it's a band. Ciliary body, and then we have the choroid. So these are the 3 parts, but only 2. The anterior 2 appears in the anterior chamber angle. And when it appears there, the ciliary body contributes to what we call the ciliary band. And then we have the root of the iris, which is the next one. So always think about The first three in the middle, trabecular meshwork, and the cornea side, we have a line. On the scleral side, we have the spur. So trabecular meshwork is sandwiched between a line and a spur. Swaths and then sclera. Now, when you take that tray as one zone or as one part, then you now have another tray. So you have this whole section, the central tray is taken as one. Then you have the cornea, and then you have the uvea. The uvea parts, we are talking about the ciliary band and the root of the iris. So that is the fastest and the shortest way, and to always remember the structures in the anterior chamber angle. Thank you.